Welcome in, everybody, from the bleachers here on the Fan Sports Network. Kaden Formaster, Nathan Nelson. Welcome on in, everybody.
This next segment we got for you guys, I'm very excited about. And because you came up with it, and I got super excited about it. You explain it, Kaden. You take it away.
All right, so here's the concept. Every single league, okay? Every single sports league has a different way that they do the postseason, okay? Let's just talk Big Four, because those are the ones that we're probably the most familiar with.
Yep.
And I want to figure out who has the best postseason, okay? Lots of factors go into this. Number one, you have different things from, say, the weather to, playing series to the way that the series are structured there's so many things that go into this. And also from a fan's perspective as well, are fans into it from day one of the postseason until the end? We talked about this in the last segment that we did as well, when we were talking about, all right, what should the NFL do? Should the NFL try to go to a seeding that's kind of more like the NBA's, where it's like divisions don't matter, but we'll take division winners, wildcard teams, and then we'll reseed you based off of win percentage.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? So who has it right? Which league does it best? So I want to start with a league. Give me a league. We'll start there, and let's talk pros and cons. Okay?
NFL.
Let's go NFL. Pros and cons in the NFL. First off, it's winning you go on, and losing you go home, right? There are no series. There are going to be teams, you take a look at like when Cincinnati beat Kansas City in the playoffs back in 2021. Everyone thought Kansas City was going to win that game. Honestly, if they played three games, Kansas City probably wins two of them. But that's just not the case.
No. It's one and it's done. And that's what makes the NFL so exciting, because you could be thrilled your team is in the playoffs. You could be sitting, 15-2. Let's talk about the Lions. You just had your best season in franchise history, 15-2.
Yeah.
No season in franchise history have you had more wins. 15-2. Jared Goff is an MVP type of player. Amon-Ra St. Brown has a great year. Their coach is up for coach of the year. All that good stuff. And then you lose 45-31 in your first playoff game because they got the bye. They were basically first rounded by the Washington Commanders. Yeah. And that's just a slice of this past postseason as to what makes the NFL postseason so great, because we can have teams like the Commanders, who weren't like some barely sneak in type of team. They were a set playoff team. They were good. They were sitting at 12-5. They were doing a fantastic job that season. So to go into Detroit and pull off the upset that they did, it was just a crazy win, a crazy big win. And that's just what makes the NFL, because 3 games, like you said, with Cincinnati and Kansas City, Detroit probably wins 2 of them.
Yeah.
And that's the only one that Washington wins. Detroit probably wins the other 2. But because it's one, we get Washington going to the NFC Championship game. And your best season, if you're a Lions fan, is over. And that's what makes the NFL so exciting, because one bad pass, one bad run, one fumble, one whatever can end a season just like that. There is no tomorrow. There is no second chance until September. You're done after that. And that's what makes the NFL so thrilling when it comes to the postseason. And the crowds in the NFL are so loud. Postseason crowds are awesome. I've been a part of one for a Vikings game. I will never forget it. It was actually the Minneapolis Miracle game. So those 2 factors for me is what puts the NFL on top.
I would say that you could look at that as a pro or a con. To me, it's a pro. Honestly, it's like win or go home. To me, it's
win or go home is a
on
pro.
The line.
It is a pro 100%. I like series because we get more of that whatever sport we're watching. But one game and you could be moving on and you could be feeling amazing, or you could be done. And a 15-2 season, 14-3 season, whatever, down the drain just like that. And you feel like that season is all for nothing. But if you had won, you're like, wow, this season was so worth it. This has been so much fun. All that.
So I want to move on to another league here. Okay, I want to move on to the NBA. First off,
the NBA.
How do we feel about the play-in tournament? Because that's something that no one does.
The play-in tournament right now, I think, is good, but the solution to it, just add in 2 more teams, get rid of the play-in tournament. I think having 8, it's just weird. 2 more, add in 2 more teams to the Western Conference and send the Pelicans and Grizzlies over to the Eastern Conference. Get rid of the play-in. We're good.
See,
the play-in is not a playoff game or a playoff series. It doesn't even have the vibe. The atmosphere isn't there. Nothing. So the play-in is whatever.
I would say don't even do the play-in at all and just go back to the way it was. Just give us 8 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need more? Why do we need anything else?
Mm-hmm.
I just give us 8 teams. Look at all the rest of the leagues too. We could talk hockey in just a little bit as well, or the MLB is another great example of this, where it's like not that very many teams make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The postseason is supposed to be for the elite, not for 2/3 of the league to be in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't like about the play-in games for the NBA. 2/3 of the NBA teams will make, quote unquote, the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
They are playing basketball after the regular season has come to an end. And I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even with 8 teams, that's still over half of the league is in the playoffs. And I just feel like at that point, I'm like, what makes the playoffs special? Making the playoffs doesn't mean anything because all it's saying is you could be on the lower half of saying like, hey, there's the top half, which are the best teams in the NBA. The bottom half are the worst teams in the NBA. You could be in the bottom half and still make the playoffs just fine. And that annoys me.
I mean, there's a little bit there. That's fair. There's a little bit there where we talking about the Brooklyn Nets getting in a play-in spot and then potentially getting into the playoffs, which is just absurd because they were terrible at the time. They're even worse now. It's crazy that we were even talking about that.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. It's pretty wild to say the least. All right.
But
because of that,
to continue a little bit more with the NBA, I think I love the NBA playoffs and stuff like that personally, but I will agree with people when they say it is the weakest postseason. And I think it starts with the presentation. I think TNT and ESPN both do a terrible job presenting the NBA playoffs. They're putting them at weird times. They're not hyping them up like they should be. There's been so much controversy lately about ESPN and the NBA and all that stuff. And I'll just say it now. ESPN and TNT, they both do a terrible job broadcasting the games, hyping up the game, hyping up the current NBA. I wish ESPN would lose the rights to the NBA finals because the finals don't feel like how the finals used to feel because ESPN does such a terrible job at making them feel like the finals, making them feel special when they should feel like this is it. These are the 2 best teams. These guys belong here. This is it. They're talking about other things happening in the league. ESPN and TNT, it starts with the presentation for the NBA, and I think those two do a horrible job at it.
I think a lot of it, too, comes down to the specific teams with the in-arena presentation. I think it's very important for me, like on a playoff game, if you're not having T-shirts over every single seat for a playoff game, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going for a whiteout, go for a whiteout. And also from a fan perspective, put on the dang T-shirt, dude.
Yeah, you are. If you go to a play, listen to me.
Be a part of the crowd, man.
If you go to a playoff game and you don't put on the shirt or the hat or wave the towel they provide you, you are lame. Why are you there?
Yeah, I mean, stop being embarrassed. It's like, dude, everyone just do it, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about because it's just like a group thing. Just have fun. That kind of stuff annoys me. That could be better. I will say as well, because it is series play for the NBA. You're looking at 7-game series from day one until the end.
That's the other thing. They're all 7-game series. They could last a long time.
I like the way the MLB does it. All right. You start off small and then you work your way up to those 7-game series towards the end. Right. And it's like, all right, do a best of 3 in round 1. I'm fine with that. Best of 3. If you win 2, move on to the next.
I don't know how much I like best of 3, even in the MLB.
Best of 5. Yeah, that's fine.
I like keeping NBA to best of 5.
So let's say you do that. Let's say you just do best of 5. Most of the time, and I say most of the time, I would say, and I'd love to actually go over the numbers and see this. I'd say most of the time, the team that's probably going to win the 7-game series is also going to win the 5-game series. So it's fine. You're saving yourself 2 extra games. Also, that means the NBA Finals could be played a little bit earlier. Maybe you're talking like end of May, beginning of June, as
Instead
opposed
of,
to
like-
playing all the way to like mid-June. You know?
That's another thing. Like the NBA playoffs last so long
It is a
potentially
lot
because
of basketball.
because they're 7-game series. Teams that either get eliminated or teams that didn't make the playoffs, their fan bases aren't going to like stay with the playoffs because it's lasting so long. You know, they may go watch baseball, or they may just be done with sports for the year, or whatever. You know, they may not latch on like you want them to because it's so long, and it can be draining because it's so much basketball.
Yeah.
And by June, considering it starts in late October, you may just be done with basketball at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
So
completely
it's
understandable.
too long, and it just, the presentation sucks as well.
I will say this, though.
And I agree with you with the in-arena presentation. That's a huge factor.
The one thing that the NBA Finals has going for it is I feel like most of the time, the team that wins the NBA Finals is the team that deserves to win the NBA Finals. I can't always say
you can
that.
look at that as a con as well.
You could. I mean, you could say that, it's expected. You know, we know who's going to win. We know that this year it's going to be either Boston or Cleveland or Oklahoma City. You could say that. And if it is one of those three teams, then yeah, it follows the trend. But also, I feel like champions should deserve to be champions. You know?
Absolutely.
It's not just, did you get hot at the right time? And sometimes it does come down to that. But I feel like the best teams ultimately will win championships. The MLB is close to that, but if you happen to have a bad series early on in one of those shorter series and get knocked out, I mean, look at teams that have been really good teams. Look at the Phillies from last year, right? They got knocked out early and it was like, oof.
And LDS, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was a team I thought could at least go to the NLCS and maybe fight up against the Dodgers or something like that, right? I still feel like the Dodgers were coming out of the NL anyway. But again, I just see that the NBA does present the champion as being like the best team in the NBA. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you with the baseball thing as well. And yeah, NBA, like the Celtics were the best team. The Nuggets were the best team. The Bucks and the Suns from a couple years back, that was a little bit of a different story. Those two teams were about equal level. The Suns had a bit of a better record. I believe it was that year. I can't remember. Or they were on similar ground. Anyway, the Bucks were the best team. It is good getting the two best squads most like year after year most of the time.
Yeah.
I'd say these last 2 years, we haven't really gotten that, and it hasn't resulted in the best NBA Finals.
Sure.
2023, Nuggets against the Heat. The Heat probably had no business being there.
The Heat had no business.
That was a Cinderella run of all Cinderella runs.
Absolutely.
They had no business being there. Last year, Mavericks, they were better than the Heat. I'm not going to say that they didn't deserve to be there, but you had teams like the Timberwolves or the Nuggets or the number one seed OKC Thunder, but that you could say maybe deserved it more, but obviously they didn't win their series, so they couldn't win and go to the finals, whatever. And the Mavericks is the 5th seed. They ended up getting destroyed. So you can make an argument that they didn't really belong there either.
Sure.
So these past couple years, it's just been kind of a team that deserves to be there versus a team that is like, wow, that team probably shouldn't be here. And it has resulted in a boring NBA Finals on top of the bad presentation. So I'm hoping this year we get some of the top teams in the league going head-to-head against each other, and we could get something similar to Bucks Suns like we did a couple years back, or Celtics Warriors from 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be phenomenal. All right. For baseball, though, there's something magical about baseball postseason.
There really is. There is. When a team can get hot, like the Detroit Tigers last year, it's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
man.
there's just, and even if you're not watching, it's like I feel like it's a part of our culture to where it's like, did you hear what the Lions? Wow, did you hear what the Tigers are doing?
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like it's still a thing, and even still, think about it. It comes down to the Dodgers and Yankees, right? Which again, culturally, because baseball's been a part of our culture for over 100 years.
America's pastime.
It's like, wow, this is a series that we're very used to seeing. Two very historic franchises going head to head for the championship. In the World Series. Let's see it.
And
I love that kind of stuff. Like that's really fun to me. I'd love and some of these games. I'm a big Cubs fan. When it was Chicago and Cleveland going at it in the World Series in 2016, and it's extra innings games. It's like 2 a.m. in Cleveland.
Yeah. Because of the rain delay.
Yeah, there was a rain delay, and it was an extra innings game. And listen, it was like midnight here in Utah. for us. And me and my brother, who we've both grown up Cubs fans our whole lives, and we're at his house, and it was just me and him, and the final play of the game, and we're like trying so hard not to like yell and scream because we're so excited, but everyone's still sleeping in the house because it's midnight, the people who don't care. But still, like, that is a moment that I will always remember when my team won a World Series, right? Because again, there's just something magical about it.
There is something magical. And about that, by the way, I love Joe Buck's call on that, man. That is so iconic. You know, this will be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs. And then it goes into the glove of Rizzo. And he's like, the Cubs win the World Series. And then Rizzo sticks the ball in the back of his pocket. And then they all just pile on top of the pitcher. Yeah, magical moment. You're right about that. No sport has more magical moments and more like, wow, that's just awesome moments than the MLB postseason.
Well, and also,
like this past season, I was talking about the Tigers and then the Royals. You have so many Cinderella runs in baseball because with baseball, when you cool off, you're not just like bad, you're really bad. You're not hitting you're not seeing the ball well, you're not pitching very well, and when you're hot, everything is on. And the Tigers and Royals, they were just fantastic and so fun to watch going to the postseason. The Mets, I mean, they were 89 and 73, barely got into the postseason, and they ended up going to the NLCS, one of the best stories from last season. So baseball just has so many magical moments. And by the way, since we brought up crowd for the NBA, MLB postseason crowds are also fantastic.
They're also fun.
They're great.
So another point for the MLB here, okay? Just imagine this with me for just a second, okay? Imagine your team's down by 2 runs. Mm-hmm. You're the team that's you're the home team, okay? You're the home team, down by 2 runs, 2 outs, and you've got, we'll just say 2 runners on base, okay? In that moment, a swing of the bat could be the end of the game, or you could take the lead. Mm-hmm. Being down by 2, it could be a 3-1 ball game.
Yeah.
And a swing of the bat
swing could make it 4-3.
Could win the game or lose the game. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing. It's like there are moments where the fans are on the edge of their seat. And sometimes it's like, you're talking like you could be sitting there for half an hour on the edge of your seat.
Because then ball gets delivered, foul. And then foul. Ball gets taken, and then foul, and then foul. And then a high fly ball, and everyone's like, oh, is that gone? And then foul.
Yeah. And then
it's just so like.
Yeah, and then it's like someone gets walked. Okay, we got a guy on first. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
you're just like, this next guy, don't hit into a double play.
Yeah. And then they hit it. It's not a double play, but 1 out. But one runner advanced to second, so that's okay. And it's just like there's just so much suspense that happens with baseball postseason. To me, it's really high on the list.
Yeah.
Real quick, where would you rank hockey?
Hockey, I don't have a ton of experience with playoff hockey.
It's similar to me to like in between basketball and baseball.
But according to their fans, I mean, and from the games that I have seen, the crowd carries in hockey. The crowd is electric in hockey. My personal ranking, NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA.
I would dare say that's probably where I'm at as well. Come on. I mean, like the Super Bowl is a holiday. You can't not put the NFL at 1.
No, the World Series, Finals, Stanley Cup, nothing else has the same aura, I guess, as the Super Bowl does.
Yeah.
I mean, people are literally begging for the day after the Super Bowl to be a day
holiday.
Off. Federal holiday. You don't see that with any other sport.
Yeah. But it's also because it falls on the same day every single year. Well, not the same day, but the same weekend at least. Falls on the same weekend every single year. It really has become
everyone knows
culture.
Start of February, that's Super Bowl. That is football, that is Super Bowl. Everyone knows that. Even if you're not a football fan, even if you're not a sports fan, start of February, that's when the Super Bowl happens.
Absolutely.
And no other championship has that much aura.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. That's a good word. And what's crazy is I still love the NBA Finals. So even putting it on the bottom of the list.
At the end of the day, we're watching playoffs.
Great.
We're watching the best teams, fight to stay alive and win the championship. So they're always going to be great.
Yeah.
But some have their more pros than others.
Yeah, I agree. All right, there you have it. That's your best postseason.
Yep.
NFL,
MLB,
NHL,
NBA.
NBA Finals.
Yep.